Al-Qaeda has some advice for lone wolf terrorists. Target white Americans because the International Terrorist Organization doesn't want to be accused of hate crimes. Folks, this isn't The Onion. This is real life. And I'm Steve Green with Scott Ott and Bill Whittle to give you the right angle on politically correct terrorism. Oy vey. Gents, you can't make this stuff up, and, well, these days you don't have to. Al-Qaeda publishes a magazine called Inspire to inspire people to kill for Al-Qaeda. Yeah, it's like cat fancy, but for loners who prefer suicide vests over tabbies. It's pretty much exactly the same thing. Anyway, according to Foreign Desk News, the latest issue talks about the Orlando attack at the Pulse nightclub and says that while murdering gays, this is a quote, is the most binding duty and closer to human nature, the magazine suggests, another quote, to avoid targeting places and crowds where minorities are generally found in America, to avoid that dreaded hate crime label. Instead, self-directed jihadis should target, we're going to another quote here, areas where the Anglo-Saxon community is generally concentrated. Scott, I don't mean to make light of this, or at least not too much, but whatever happened to murdering infidels based on the content of their holy book and not the color of their skin?
Well, you know, if nothing else, the boys and girls at Al-Qaeda and ISIS have been experts at studying and understanding our culture in many ways better than we do. Even when you go back to, as you know, years ago when they were using airplanes as missiles, the reason why they could get away with that is because they knew that when we gather in crowds, we intentionally avoid contact with each other. We don't engage each other. We can all sit in a lounge waiting for an airplane for 2 hours and not talk to anybody we don't already know. And so they were taking advantage of the fact that they could go waltzing right in there. They understand the culture, that nothing's, which is why I said that in the airplane lounge, especially for international flights, that what ought to happen in there is one of the flight attendants ought to come out and play games like they play at those honeymoon places in the Poconos, where you have to like pass an orange under your chin to the next person,
Yeah.
you know. And essentially,
I'm against this idea.
We should do like speed dating in the lounge there, and you know, so when you get around to the guy who's sitting there going Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, you know, he's going to stick out. So I think
extra scrutiny for that guy, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So a generous cavity search would be my preference. But they have, I think they understand that in this, they don't want to be misunderstood to say, oh, well, you're after gays or whatever. It's like, we want to bring down America. So let's take down the great Satan by taking down the iconic racial characteristic of the great Satan. Let's get those white people. The only problem is, I'm trying to think like, where do we gather? Because everywhere I go around here, and I live in North Texas, you would think that there would be all these great, you know, gathering places for us white males. But everywhere I go, I'm surrounded by people from Asia, from India, from Pakistan, from all over the place. I don't know where those places are.
What about our Illuminati meetings where we determine to keep black people down and
yes.
develop our Muslim Islamophobia?
Well, you know, a century ago, I probably wouldn't have even been considered a white person, or at least not Anglo-Saxon, because, you know, I'm half Jewish, part French, agnostic, gay-friendly, and I think Cat Stevens' music is mostly crap. So, you know what, I'm already on so many Islamic kill lists that, you know, one more is not going to bother me. But that aside, Bill, Al-Qaeda, they haven't gone completely politically correct. The Inspire article also says, this is a quote, "We stand by and support all Muslims who attack America in their homeland, regardless of their affiliation to any group or loyalty." So, Bill, if anything since 9/11 should bring Americans together, I mean black, brown, white, gay, straight, Democrat, Republican, Jewish, evangelical, Catholic, whatever, bring all of us together to wipe out Al-Qaeda, shouldn't that be it?
Well, first of all, if we had a president that loved this country and was determined to defend its citizens, the offices of any magazine that published open calls to kill American citizens would just disappear in a cloud of gray dust. That is without question a legitimate military target, and you know, do a few of those and it tends to discourage the others. That's number one. Number two, I certainly hope that Al-Qaeda decides to take this advice, because they're going to be in for a bit of a rude surprise for a number of reasons. First of all, what's so fascinating and absolutely distressing to me, I saw a picture, I'm quite sure it happened just a couple days ago, and it was a gay pride parade. I think it was in New York, but I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, I know the one you're talking about.
And leading the parade was a giant rainbow banner that said something like "Stop Republican Hate." In other words, it's the Republicans that caused the death of 49 people down in Orlando. Now, what causes this kind of mental damage, this kind of actual genuine insanity? They understand that they can protest against Republicans without somebody coming back to kill them. And so they transfer all of their hatred and all of their fear of what they're not allowed to criticize, both for cultural reasons and also for personal safety reasons, and they put it on a boogeyman who they know they can just, be social justice warriors. I don't know how you're a warrior if nobody ever gets killed or hurt in your particular battle. So there's that whole aspect of the transference and projection. But I think that the big mistake that this article is making is they don't understand that there's really essentially only one group of Americans, if you want to divide the country up into groups, there's really only one group of Americans that consistently understands the nature of this threat and the need to fight back. And most of us are not going to get a chance to reload. That's going to be the catastrophe here. If they decide to do this, then the forces that are fighting them culturally here, guys like us, are just going to get stronger. It's just going to get stronger. And the ultimate irony is it's the conservatives who are fighting tooth and nail in the cultural war to protect homosexuals, to keep them alive, and to keep women out of burqas, and to make sure that Jews aren't stabbed to death. It's the conservatives that are worried about these outlier groups in America. Al-Qaeda has no particular problem with Christian people. They're perfect dhimmis. They can live under the Sharia as a sort of a second-class citizen. It's the gays and the lesbians and the feminists and the Jews that they hate. So it's interesting that they're targeting the only people that seem to be willing to defend them against this Muslim politically correct nonsense. And the world's filled with ironies, and most of them I wish would go away.
Well, Bill, I may have a slightly different explanation. Maybe you'll appreciate this. Folks, there's no big mystery here, at least not to me. Al-Qaeda just wants credit where credit is due. After Orlando, the Obama administration, Democrats all over the country, and the mainstream media, but I repeat myself, they didn't give proper credit for Omar Mateen's attack. They took a foreign-inspired terrorist attack and turned it into a debate about American gun control. They took 49 Americans murdered by an Islamic jihadi and tried to blame their deaths on this fictional climate of hate created by conservative Christians. They took those murders of 49 mostly brown people by another brown person and claimed that somehow white people were at fault. Now, I want you to imagine you're an Al-Qaeda propaganda chief. You work all day, day after day, year after year to inspire someone like Omar Mateen to kill as many infidels as possible. And then you do it, and the Obama administration goes on to claim that no one can really know what inspired Mateen to kill. Al-Qaeda wants jihadis to kill white Americans because Al-Qaeda knows that those are the only murders the Obama administration can't blame on white Americans. But Allah knows they'll try. And that's The Right Angle on Inspire Magazine, brought to you by the paying members at BillWhittle.com. Click on over and sign up yourself, won't you please? You make this possible. Thanks for watching.